Cody Rhodes challenges The Rock for a one-on-one match. Seth Rollins reveals he's close to being cleared. Speaking of Rollins, he's set to face off against Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania in Philadelphia. Details on why Bronson Reed missed the premium live event in his home country, as well as what the original plans for Bronson Reed at the event were. Rhea Ripley is still the Women's World Champion, and she's going to be facing off against Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 40. CM Punk sends a message after missing out on Elimination Chamber. Raquel Rodriguez opens up on competing at the Elimination Chamber event despite a health issue flaring up. Max Caster botches his rap on AEW Collision. Mustafa Ali is the brand new TNA X Division champion. Rael reveals her brother is All Elite, and an update on QT Marshal now that he's back in AEW. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about yesterday's Elimination Chamber Premium Live event, the final stop on the road to WrestleMania. And interestingly, the American Nightmare has laid out the challenge to The Rock for a one-on-one match. Now, Cody Rhodes and World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins were guests on the Grayson Waller effect at Elimination Chamber, which saw Waller receive a hero's welcome in his home country. Joined by his tag team partner Austin Theory, Waller introduced Cody Rhodes as the man who can thank the American education system for his inability to finish the story. The main takeaways from the segment were that Seth Rollins revealed that he's close to returning to action. We'll talk about that in just a second. But also the challenge from Cody Rhodes. He said that he's obviously booked for the WrestleMania 40 main event against Roman Reigns, but other than that, he's free and challenged The Rock to a one-on-one match anytime, any place. However, Rollins did point out that there's no such thing as a one-on-one match against a member of the Bloodline, and assured Rhodes that he won't be fighting this battle alone if indeed it happens. Now, nothing was made official, so it remains to be seen whether it will be a one-on-one match or a tag team match with Rollins involved, which has been heavily teased as we get closer to WrestleMania. But speaking of Seth Rollins as well, as I mentioned, he revealed that he's close to being medically cleared to return to the ring. Now, Seth Rollins hasn't wrestled since defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Jinder Mahal on the January 15 edition of Monday Night Raw. The champion confirmed on the following week's episode that he had a grade 2 tear of his MCL, a partially torn medial meniscus, but promised to work hard on rehabilitation and hopefully be able to compete at WrestleMania 40. Now, during the segment, Rollins announced that he was, quote, just days away from being cleared, and noted he will be in action at WrestleMania in April. The question is he going to be wrestling just once or twice? One match we definitely know he's going to be having at WrestleMania is against Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship, because McIntyre won the Elimination Chamber yesterday to punch his ticket to WrestleMania, but maybe it gave a wider look as to other plans for WrestleMania as well. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins is official for WrestleMania 40, and a couple of other matches have been revealed as well. Now, after the Women's Elimination Chamber earlier on in the event, the Men's Elimination Chamber match consisted of Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, and the Viper, Randy Orton. McIntyre and Knight started out as the first two, and it took Owens, Lashley, Orton, and Paul all to enter in that order before the first elimination occurred. First out was Lashley after a Claymore from McIntyre, and Lashley exiting the cage ended up directly leading to the next elimination. While the cage door was open to let Lashley out, AJ Styles showed up with a steel chair and attacked LA Knight, allowing McIntyre to take advantage and pin Knight to eliminate him. The final three was Orton, McIntyre, and Paul after Orton eliminated Owens with an RKO. With McIntyre down, Paul brought out his brass knuckles but ended up taking so long that Orton snuck up from behind and nailed Paul with an RKO to eliminate him. That left two men who were feuding over the WWE Championship a few years ago, McIntyre and Orton, as the final two. They weren't the only two left in the cage though, because it turns out Paul never left. Just as Orton landed an RKO on McIntyre, Paul used his brass knuckles on Orton to knock him out, allowing McIntyre to take advantage and pin Orton for the victory. That means Seth Rollins is defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 40. That's now official, but given the circumstances of a couple of the eliminations in the match, you would think that LA Knight versus AJ Styles and Logan Paul versus Randy Orton are now possibilities for WrestleMania as well. What are your thoughts on McIntyre winning? What are your thoughts also when it comes to actually having Logan Paul face off against Randy Orton and other matches seemingly be confirmed for the event as well. Now, several people wondering in the build-up to the show what was going to be happening when it came to Bronson Reed, and now we actually have an update on what the plans are, or plans were originally for Bronson Reed. So on the morning of the Premium Live event, Bronson Reed posted the following on social media. You can see it on the screen right now. He said, quote, "Full disclosure, originally I was set to be at Elimination Chamber. It would have been an incredible moment. Unfortunately, plans changed, but everything happens for a reason. My wife and I have had our baby early. I was supposed to miss the Premium Live event to make sure I'm here for my family. Thank you for all your support, to all my friends and family who have reached out, to Triple H for guiding me. Now I'm not just big, I am Big Popper." Now, Triple H quote tweeted this and said, "Congratulations, Bronson Reed. Family is everything and fatherhood is amazing. I am proud of you not only for your work, but the journey you're now embarking on. Enjoy every moment. You're exactly where you need to be." Now, when it comes to original plans though for Bronson Reed, we do actually have an update as to what he was originally scheduled to do before the decision was made for him not to be at the Premium Live event. So Bronson Reed, of course, was not at Elimination Chamber and was not in Australia for the show, but that was not the original plan. As I mentioned, Reed tweeted that his wife gave birth to their child early, although that wasn't the original reason he was off the show, as he'd indicated on Twitter recently. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has learned that Bronson Reed was slated for a huge spot on the Elimination Chamber show in his home country. Originally, Reed was scheduled to face Seth Rollins in a World Heavyweight Championship match, hinted at in promos where he said he was coming after a champion that had no idea it was coming. Unfortunately, the plans for the match were cancelled when Rollins sustained a knee injury and wasn't able to perform on the show. Fightful have been told that Reed was more than willing to work the event ahead of the birth of his child, but everything ended up working out for the best anyway, as he was actually there to witness the birth of his child too. So that was the original plans, and that was the reason Bronson Reed wasn't at Elimination Chamber. Now, one Australian that was at Elimination Chamber was Rhea Ripley, and she is still the WWE Women's World Champion. Rhea Ripley retained her WWE Women's World Championship in an emotional victory in front of her family in her home country of Australia against Nia Jax in the main event of Elimination Chamber. Ripley now heads to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia to face the winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which we'll talk about in just a second. Ripley outlasted Jax's brute strength to get the victory off a Riptide. Jax showed off her power throughout the match, but Ripley continuously attempted to get her off her feet with chops and submission maneuvers. At one point in the match, both women were outside of the ring. Ripley tripped Jax on the apron, and she appeared to hit her face. Ripley then cleared off the announce desk and attempted a powerbomb on Jax, but couldn't lift her up. Jax was able to counter and hit a Samoan drop to Ripley onto the announce desk, but it didn't break, so she hit Ripley with an elbow to send her crashing through it. Ripley was able to avoid an annihilator from Jax inside the ring. She capitalized to get Jax on the second rope for a suplex before hitting her with a super kick and then the Riptide for the victory. Now, as it goes to her WrestleMania plan, she's going to be facing off against Becky Lynch in a big match at WrestleMania. That's because Becky Lynch won the Women's Elimination Chamber match, outlasting the likes of Liv Morgan, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Raquel Rodriguez, and Tiffany Stratton. The two women starting the match for the opening few minutes were Becky Lynch and Naomi, but neither was eliminated before Tiffany Stratton entered. It's worth mentioning that Stratton was very, very over with the crowd last night, just like she was at the press event on Thursday as well. Stratton was impressive, but again, no eliminations before the fourth entrant, Liv Morgan, came in. It was in this section of the match that Stratton did score the first elimination, pinning Naomi before Raquel Rodriguez enters. The idea here was the other three women trying to work together to eliminate Rodriguez, but it didn't work before the final entrant, Bianca Belair, came in. It was a while before the next elimination, but shortly after the diving swanton from Tiffany Stratton off the top of a pod onto Lynch, Rodriguez, and Belair, she was eliminated by Morgan, which got bullshit chants from the crowd who weren't happy to see Stratton out. Next out was Rodriguez, who was pinned by Bianca Belair after a KOD, leaving the final three as Belair, Lynch, and Morgan. The three-way situation went a good few minutes before two very quick back-to-back pinfalls as Morgan rolled up Belair, but walked straight into the manhandle slam from Lynch, who pinned Morgan to pick up the 1-2-3. That means it's official. Ripley will defend the Women's World Championship against Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia as well. Now, originally, CM Punk was meant to compete at Elimination Chamber and, according to reports, he was set to win the men's Elimination Chamber match and face off against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Now, ahead of the event yesterday, CM Punk posted the following on his Instagram stories. He said, quote, "Had a rough day mentally today. My heart and spirit are in Perth. Just a hard day, staying positive, and nobody wishes I was there performing for the fans more than me. Enjoy the show. Appreciate you all." Now, as I mentioned, it was recently reported that CM Punk was intended to win the Elimination Chamber 2024, with plans to then go on to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40. He, of course, though, was injured during the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match, albeit continuing to the planned match finish of having Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble match. And the person that actually took him out during McIntyre was the one that ended up winning the match altogether. And we spoke about Raquel Rodriguez being in the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and she shared an emotional reflection on working the Elimination Chamber event with a health issue. Now, former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Raquel Rodriguez made her surprise return on last week's episode of Raw, earning her spot in the Elimination Chamber match in Perth. Now, Raquel had been off television due to being diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, which she's still in the process of battling. Taken to Instagram following the show, Raquel reflected on her trip to Australia and competing on the show during her ongoing battle with MCAS. She wrote, quote, "If you had told me that on the long flight to Perth, Australia, for the first time it was going to blow up my face and turn me the same colour as my pink satin pillowcase, might have been the makeup on Monday too, I would have still jumped on that flight. Maybe my trip didn't go as planned, but I'm still learning this new body of mine. A big part of being a female wrestler for WWE is getting to sit in that makeup chair with our amazing makeup team, who I love so much, and getting to get dolled up. It's part of being a girl. It's part of feeling fully the part. At the end of the night, I'm proud I went out there, Alicia Keys style. Even if this trip didn't go as planned, I'm still grateful that I was blessed to be in Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia, with 5 other talented women. And I got to hug a koala bear, so it was a win for me. Thank you so much to the lovely Vanessa of Lymphatic Massage Perth for seeing me last minute 3 times to help me feel my best for the chamber. Your grace, kindness, and knowledge was a godsend. Thank you to West Oz Wildlife for the hugs and animal love. A big thank you to the entire WWE medical team, and so much love to my family and friends for the late and early phone calls, prayers, and constantly checking on me. On to a long flight home." So big up certainly to Raquel Rodriguez. Now, switching gears here to AEW Collision last night, and there was a bit of a botch on the show as Max Caster's freestyle rap didn't exactly go to plans. Now, in a trios match, Jay White, Colton Gunn, and Billy Gunn teamed together to take on the Iron Savages. The match came at what was quite interesting actually. The match came a bit after a flubbed entrance for the Bang Bang Scissor Gang as Max Caster got tripped up on the mic midway through his rap and ended it early. The line he had delivered prior to getting turned around was, "About to bring the fight like me against management. These guys so mad they probably see red." And then he just stopped rapping, waving the camera off of him and shrugging. Anthony Bowens hopped in to deliver his signature line as the entrance issues didn't dampen the crowd's excitement to see the super faction. White, Colton, and Billy did pick up the victory against the Iron Savages team as well. So what did you make of that botch that happened on Collision last night? Mustafa Ali holds championship gold for the first time in quite some time. Now, former WWE superstar Mustafa Ali has been on something of a world tour since his 90-day non-compete clause expired at the end of December. He has traveled around the globe wrestling for companies like Rev Pro and Progress in England, Demand Lucha in Canada, and APC in France, not to mention various indie promotions around the United States. However, his most recent bout at TNA's No Surrender event ended with him holding one of the most storied championships currently in wrestling. In the No Surrender main event, Ali defeated Chris Sabin to win the TNA X Division Championship, a title that's been held by the likes of AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and others. With Ali picking up the victory, he brought Sabin's record 10th reign with the X Division Championship to an end and will likely have a number of high-profile challenges coming his way over the next few months. TNA's next streaming special, Sacrifice, takes place on March 8 at St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, with only the TNA World Championship bout between Moose and Eric Young being confirmed as well. What do you make of Mustafa Ali winning the TNA X Division title? Now, we're going to be getting more of the nights in AEW because former AEW Women's World Champion Saraya, she's had a bit of a rough time recently on screen. She lost her title to Hikaru Shida in October of last year. She lost her friendship with Toni Storm when the current champion became timeless, and recently has lost her friendship with Ruby Soho over Soho's romantic connection with cool hand Angelo Parker. However, when she can't count on friends, she always has her family to fall back on. On Friday's AEW Rampage, Saraya revealed in a backstage segment that her brother Zack Knight has joined the company. Saraya declared to Renee Paquette that she would have loved to set Soho up with her brother, something Harley Cameron agreed with, who also mentioned that she finds the entire Knight family attractive, earning a spraying from Saraya. Known sometime as Zack Zodiac, Knight has wrestled primarily in the United Kingdom throughout his career for companies like WAW, SWA, and Rev Pro, while also making cameo appearances for international companies like New Japan and WWE. Over the past few months, Knight has been racking up victories in Ring of Honor, where he has put together a 3-match winning streak since his debut, defeating the likes of Peter Avalon, Aaron Solo, and John Cruz, and will be hoping to translate that success into AEW as well. Now that he's joined the company, Knight joins the likes of Brian Keith, Queen Aminata, and other people who have joined AEW in 2024. They could be joined by the likes of Mercedes Moné and Kazuchika Okada in the coming weeks. Of course, Will Ospreay also has put pen to paper with AEW as well. Finally, an update on QT Marshal. QT Marshal is getting back in the fold. Of course, it was recently reported by Fightful Select that QT Marshal was heading back to All Elite Wrestling in a vice president capacity. At that time, he'd not yet returned, and many talent didn't even know that it was on the horizon. However, Fightful report that they had learned that as of this week, he was scheduled to be backstage last night at AEW Collision in Springfield. Marshal has returned to AEW in a vice president role, but isn't planned to wrestle for the company as of now. He's free to wrestle outside of AEW, except in WWE. He recently reopened Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling alongside Teal Rhodes. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.